Hey guys, it's Juanita at Cape Fear Family Law. We're all working from home, so I hope you enjoy my background here. We're trying to do our part in slowing the spread of COVID, so we are working from home. In the meantime, though, we are getting quite a bit of questions about custody and visitation and some unique circumstances, such as when entire cities and towns get locked down. So I want to try to help you guys understand a few things. I know that there's a series of videos we're putting out to answer some of these questions, but as always, and I'll repeat this at the end, please feel free to make a comment or a question in this video, and we will be watching and hopefully responding to as many of them as we can. So today's video is going to be about military. You may have seen on the news, or you may be involved in this directly, but military has put down some specific rules for travel restrictions for active duty service members or those living on base, on post, or who report to post. They're doing their part to try to slow the spread of the virus and to keep our military members safe and prepared in the event that they're needed. So want to help you to do your part as well. This is a very difficult conversation. It's a very difficult subject. I've gotten questions from parents who are active duty and who are in a co-parenting situation where they're under an order to allow for visitation for the non-custodial parent, or if we're in a joint situation and the exchanges are occurring where parents are living outside of the state, so they're traveling, let's say to Virginia or Pennsylvania, South Carolina to exercise that visitation, and the base is putting some restrictions on travel, not just for military members, but for their families. So I'm gonna kind of talk about that little unique subset of visitation and try to give you some guidance. Number one, just always remember, guys, focus on best interest of your children. It's not about what one parent wants or the other, it's about the kids. And the court has repeatedly said that it is in the children's best interest to have a good, strong relationship with both parents. So keep that in mind. It's not me saying put your children at risk or put your health at risk or violate military orders. It's about, at this point, maintaining as much bond and natural parenting between both parents. So let's talk about first, if you are an active duty service member and you are under orders that you or your family are not to leave the base or travel within 100 miles or an hour, which I've heard each of those scenarios from different bases. Different commands are giving out different guidelines for their military service members. So if you are the active duty service member who is being implemented these restrictions, or if you're married to a service member, but you have a child with somebody else, then you're going to be under these restrictions. It's most of the orders I've seen so far are that the service member and their dependent family, which includes their stepchildren, who are often subject to a custodial order in a different court. So if you are that parent who is under these restrictions and you have some issues with exercising the visitation, you can't meet to do an exchange, you can't leave, the other parent lives more than an hour away, so your dependent children can't travel that far and come back to base. You have to get creative, guys. And I know that's hard, but you have to get creative. Talk to the other parent. This is the time to shine for co-parenting. Call each other, have open lines of communication. If you absolutely cannot get creative in ways to do the visit, whether it be the non-military family member traveling to the children 100% of the travel, to see them, have a visit with them, maybe in your home, open your home to them if they're not going to expose you to something else. If they have not been self-isolating and they may expose your family, then you certainly don't have to do that. Use good judgment, guys. Follow the CDC guidelines, but in the mix of all of that, make absolutely sure that everything you do is not about you. It's about your children. If you cannot in any way do visitation, then do it other ways. Allow a tremendous amount of face time. Have the parent that can't visit involved with all school decisions, maybe on FaceTime doing homework, talking to them all the time about the kids' schoolwork. What are they doing? What kind of stuff at home? What can they help with? Is there some spelling words they can call at night and walk through with the children? Can they quiz them on something that was learned that day? Be creative, guys, be creative. These are some really difficult times, but imagine being the parent that doesn't have the child during these times. They're fearful, they're afraid, they're concerned about their child too. So you guys really need to co-parent. Now let's talk about if you're the parent that can't do the visits. You need to be creative too. If you can travel and keep your child safe by traveling 100% of the distance to see the child, maybe just play in the yard, maybe just something to keep some of that active time with them available, and you and the co-parent agree that it's in the best interest for that to happen, then go for it. Do everything you can. Talk it out between the two of you. Not one person gets to dictate this is what's going to happen and why. It needs to be a conversation. You need to be having this conversation over and over again about how is the child's health, any symptoms, anybody in the family having symptoms. It's not the time to hide information. It's not the time to fight over who gets primary decision making. This is really the time for you to shine as a co-parent. And I assure you guys that when this is all over and cases get brought in front of the court again and we can have trials and hearings again, there's going to be two different camps. There's going to be the parents who did a great job co-parenting, and then there's going to be the other camp. And so the court is going to get to see them both, and they're going to see some shining examples of co-parenting. And those parents, they will be rewarded. The parents who can't co-parent, the parents who are trying to dictate, trying to mandate things, well, that will be heard as well. Keep in mind that this is all about your children, and it's not about you. It's not about your feelings. It's not about how much you hate the other person or dislike them or whatever the case may be. That is not what this is about. So follow your state's regulations. If there's a travel ban in your state, if it's self-isolated, no travel except for essential. I guess there's this question out whether or not custodial exchanges are essential. You guys really just have to pay attention to your state's rules and guidelines. If you have been exposed, or if you work in a field where exposure is higher likely than others, you really need to consider, is it in your child's best interest for me to go see them? And custodial parents, if you work in a field where you are being exposed and you honestly say, dad, for example, doesn't get exposed. He doesn't work in retail. He doesn't work at a hospital. Maybe he's the better person to have the child for this period. Same thing for dads. Maybe mom is in that position and mom is the better person. So this isn't just about my order says X, Y, and Z. This is about co-parenting and deciding what's in the best interest of your children. So military personnel, just to kind of wrap this up, there are some special orders for them out there, and both parents need to be understanding of those orders. Share the documents, share the information, send them the orders so that they can see what you're dealing with. Make sure that you're both on the same page and that you're open communication, that you have open communication. Like I said, I would encourage you to FaceTime often. I would encourage both parents to do homework together with the children. I would encourage you to share spelling lists so they can quiz each other on spelling words. Do everything you can, that if you can't do the visitation, if you can't exercise visitation and the safety of the children, that you are finding some really good ways to communicate with the other parent to try to maintain that bond between parent and child. And as a side note, I will say, let's not forget how much anxiety these children are going through right now. School's been canceled. They're staying at home. They're probably getting bored. And now they miss their other parent as well. Let's minimize that as much as we can. So let's help our kids, guys. Let's do the right thing. Let's co-parent. And I hope everybody stays safe and healthy. And we'll talk to you guys soon. And again, as always, like, share, subscribe, and please comment below if you have any questions or any other input. Hope I answered any questions you do have about the military orders. Thanks, guys.